It's time for a defacing slash review slash me painting sort of a book cover. These are some of my favorite videos to make. I love incorporating my creativity into my videos in these reviews. They are all spoiler free, and this one is all about Frostblood by Elly Blake. I really enjoyed this book. It had such a awesome main character, and I really loved the fresh magic system in this book. It really appealed to me, and it was a really nice fantasy book. This is a YA fantasy. It's Frostblood by Elly Blake. There's a little bit of romance, and there is magic. So the whole premise of this book, I will jump into that right now. So our main character, Ruby, she's 17 years old and she is a fireblood. So that means she can control heat and flames, that type of thing. There are also frostbloods who can do the opposite. They control cold and all that stuff, what you can probably tell by the names, Frostblood and Fireblood. But our main character, she's had to conceal her powers her whole life because she lives in a land ruled by the Frostbloods. So her mother is killed trying to protect her, and that propels her forward, and the rebel Frostbloods get her help to overthrow an evil king, the evil Frostblood king, and she is really desperate to get revenge on the people, the Frostbloods that killed her mother. And none of that is spoiler. It happens right at the beginning of the book. It's all in the little blurb. So Ruby, she has really unpredictable abilities, and it's really hard for her to control them because they're tied into her emotions, and it's just really tough for her to control. But she meets Arcus, who is a Frostblood, and it is really interesting to see their dynamic, and he is one of the rebel Frostbloods. This story really follows her journey in learning how to harness her powers and then how to use those to save her world and get rid of this evil ruler who has taken so much from her. And, you know, I see this compared to Red Queen, and I do see the similarities, but I just really enjoyed the book as it just gave me like those OG fantasy vibes, I guess you could say, if you guys know what I mean. I always talk about this on my channel, but it wasn't too dark like I find a lot of YA fantasies are going right now, and a lot of the ones that I read I feel like are really dark, or the ones I hear about are really dark, have really dark premises. I mean, yes, there is death in this book, but it's not really a super dark book with it has some elements, I guess, that are pretty brutal because there's a tournament and different things that I won't get into, but I did enjoy it. I found it really interesting and just nice to immerse myself in this world. I mean, I get that some people might say that it's similar to other fantasy books, but it was just like really comforting to read for me. I enjoyed the reading experience. It surprised me. There were some plot twists that surprised me, and I just really liked the writing style and how seamless it was. There wasn't anything weird about the writing style that stood out to me, or stuff like that. I really liked the pacing of it, the action, the character development, all of that was really great. And, you know, the main character, she wasn't perfect. She had a temper. And, you know, the Frostblood, like, everybody had their own, like, stereotypes, like, Firebloods are all hot-headed, and then the Frostbloods are cold and emotionless. But, you know, you start off with that concept and that idea in your head, but you really get to see these characters unfold, and they're really well thought out and well developed characters. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the book. I really, really enjoyed it. I like the pacing. I didn't love the romance. I mean, whenever there were scenes between the two characters, the love interest and the main character, I enjoyed them because they were really witty and interesting. But I think my favorite part of the book was just the main plot with her learning her powers, and that plot was probably my favorite. But I'm curious to see how the relationships will develop in the coming up books that I'm very excited to get into. And by the way, I didn't really explain what I was doing, but I basically just did that design with the sponge, and then I painted the little blood, because like Frostblood. Anyways, if you want to talk about more books with me, make sure you check out the rest of my defacings. They'll be linked down below. You can also come hang out with me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Books with Alyssa J. Plus, make sure you give this video a like if you want to see more awesome videos like this, and click the notification bell down below so you don't miss my next video coming up on Monday. Keep reading.